today, as we think about oil and gas investing, like what kind of conversations are you having with individuals who are focused on the tax saving strategy cash flow side? Or are they even concerned about cash flow versus more of this appreciation and cash flow and potential tax strategy side? What do people really care about with investing in oil and gas?
Yes, so obviously the tax benefits are a big piece. There's not very many asset classes out there where you can offset W2 or active income capital gains just by making the investment. A lot of real estate deals, you've got to be a real estate professional, you've got to allocate a certain number of hours into that asset. And oil is very different. If you're investing in a working interest, the tax code, and this was written in, 100 years ago, I mean, decades ago, to incentivize people to go out and drill oil and gas because it's impacts everything. We need it for everything. So there's no loophole here. It's not something special that's just come around. And in fact, I talked to a CPA about a year ago that had gone in and done 30 years of research into returns to see if any had been audited for taking this oil and gas, for using this tax benefit. And the answer was no, they couldn't find a single one. So it's very common, but unfortunately, many CPAs just aren't aware of it. And we do provide redacted K1s and things like that. You're considered an active investor. There's ways you have to invest and things like that, but it is very common. And I'm always surprised. I always get one or two CPAs every deal that we do that are like, you can't offset active income with this. And I've actually created guides to help these CPAs, get educated on the tax code and how it applies.
Yeah.
People do want the tax benefits, but the cash flow matters too. And it's thinking about it differently than real estate and other asset classes because it comes back very differently.
Differently, how so? Are you thinking from like a tax standpoint or return standpoint? Tell us.
Just from the income flow from it. So typically when you invest in a real estate deal, you invest and you are probably going to get some quarterly cash flow. For me, I have found personally that quarterly cash flow is really not that great a cash flow. You really realize a lot of the upside when the asset is divested, let's say 5 years down the road. With oil and gas, you invest and you get a lot of the cash flow up front because a lot of, your income is coming from the oil and gas that's produced. And these wells are going to produce the biggest amount they're going to produce in that first few years. So whereas real estate, it's really more on the back end, oil and gas, it's more on the front end. So you're getting that return of capital and, income right off the bat. And it's typically monthly. Every deal can be structured differently, but it is monthly. So you get it back quicker. And I think having the two different types of assets is really important because the return is different. The return dynamics and the cash flow are very different.
Yeah, certainly. A lot of what I've seen of oil and gas investors tend to be real estate investors as well. Not necessarily real estate professionals, right, in terms of reps or in terms of real estate agents or things like that, right? It does tend to be the corporate W-2 employees because they have the capital. They have the curiosity and investment. They want the cash flow, right? The difference between a lifestyle change and a completely different retirement in some ways too, right?
Sure.
Additional cash versus life changing cash, if you will. And so, especially as someone's evaluating, like, hey, what do I invest in to offset taxes? Certainly, from a tax strategy side, there are the traditional types of strategies. From an investment standpoint, then yes, oil and gas is, I mean, my belief is the most fruitful one from a active strategy that does not involve direct hours. I say this confidently with someone who owns short-term rentals. I was at my short-term rental past 3 weeks for 2 or 3 days each, doing different things, building different projects, things like that. So fun, and it takes time. And so as you're a high income earner or just lifestyle investor, hey, I want to, we've talked about, right, with you and your family, I want to go see my son's baseball games. Well, amazing. Your fridge just broke and now your T-Mobile internet isn't working. I don't know why my T-Mobile internet is not working right now, but that's something that, I need to deal with, right? From a short-term rental perspective. And so I think that's a challenge from a investor mindset. So they're more used to the tangibleness of real estate, and they're open to investing in, the real estate that they can't see, but then investing in oil and gas that they can't see is just almost a foreign concept and so challenging. But what do you see? What, I mean, maybe comes across as advice. What advice would you give to someone who's looking at investing in oil and gas from a mindset perspective?